I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
And here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It's Wednesday, January 15th. We are broadcasting with the Puck Sports Studios built by Limback Lumber. Welcome in, kiddos, to another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. By the way, Limback Lumber. Hey, contractors, talking to you. Not just for contractors, by the way. It's for everybody. Everybody can go to Limback Lumber. But for contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner, do-it-yourself projects, the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They're going to do old school service with a firm handshake and a paper receipt. That they don't keep anything on computers. It's all on paper receipts. They've been doing it since 1930. Give Limback Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. Unfamiliar here with the Daily Puck Drop. We go live every day at 10 a.m., and we have all of our guests on the show. Everything is podcast later up on YouTube and Apple and Spotify. When you're on all those platforms, please hit the subscribe and like button. Now, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have Jim Moore on the show. But Jim, of course, is not here right now. So I don't know. He's late and not around. So we'll get to Jim momentarily when he decides to join the show. All right, social media channels to follow. Puck Sports on X and Instagram, also on Blue Sky. Puck_sports on TikTok. And you can, of course, find everything up on Facebook. Also, hey, when you're at pucksports.com, we've got for the Pucks Posse community members, we have our VIP content up there as well. In addition to all the free stuff that we do, Daily Puck Drop, the free content like today's show with Rob Staton from SeahawksDraftBlog.com, also Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. We've got extra VIP content, more access for Pucks Posse members for just $5 a month. Our latest edition, Dynamic Duos with Graz and Gas, is up and available, hour and 15 minutes, plus talking to those two radio legends. Also, conversation with Monty Kohler from O'Day High School, talking about the 40-plus years he's been coaching. It's a great story about culture, about high school sports, about community and all that. So go check it out to be a Pucks Posse member. Coming up on today's show, we will talk to Rob Staton, as I mentioned before. Rob Staton coming at the bottom of the hour, and also Ryan Divish coming up at 11 o'clock today. Hey, better late than never. Here he is, Jim Moore, the go-to guy. Hi, Jim. How are you, sir?
I heard you ripping me.
Well, thanks for being on time. This is just like radio. It's the same thing.
I heard you ripping me. I gave you the heads up, and no, it's not just like radio. By the way, I was never late at KJR, and if I was, it was once. And that one time, it was because of traffic. Yeah. Why are you being so silent? You act like I was late all the time when I worked at KJR. That's just not true. That's not true.
I love you to death. I love you to death. But your revisionist history of how late you were constantly to the show is funny.
I rushed in there at 9:59 a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Hey, it's okay.
I cut it close.
You have a different view on it. I mean, if we can contractually or legally or whatever you want to call it, bring Chris Kidd on to back me up, he would back me up. Kidd would back me up. Okay, I'm going to text him right now, even though that he's doing his own show. I'm going to text Chris right now and ask him how Jim claims he was late to work one time. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, It might have been two. That's pretty good, though, in 2.5 years.
Twice? I'm going to say it was 10.
How many times did you call and say, "Oh God, the Ballard Bridge is up. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there in time"?
Yeah, but never was late. You know, I get by that Ballard Bridge and then I'm going 70 down Elliott, which is probably safe and good for everyone.
Yeah.
But here, it doesn't matter. You're here now.
No, I know, but I had an excuse. It was a good excuse today. Now, traffic is not a good excuse. My excuse for being late today is a good one, and I texted you and told you what it was.
Yeah.
And so here I am now, and I'm only a minute or two late anyway.
Sure.
So. Yeah.
When did it? Do you think it? You are acting as if you texted me like real early.
Well, no, I was okay. So
what time did you text me?
I was talking to an attorney, and the call started at 9:00 your time.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, okay, we'll be done in half an hour or 45 minutes, and we weren't. We didn't get done till like 10 o'clock. And the matter that I had with the attorney was more important than this podcast.
Well, of course it is. There's a million things more important than this show. God almighty. Everything's more important than this stupid thing we're doing.
I sat there while the attorney was talking, and I was looking, 9:57, 9:58, 9:59. I thought, God, I got to get going on the podcast. But I think this matter that I'm talking to the attorney about is more important than,
are you okay?
Whatever I have to say about a 28-year-old offensive coordinator.
Why do you need an attorney? Are you okay? Nod your head. Are you okay?
I can't get into it. It's a private matter.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a private matter.
Well, good luck.
Yeah. And so, but it was more important than what we're doing.
Of course it is. Can I guess what it is?
You can fire away. I don't think
I know you're not going to say what it is. My guess, is it something to do with the housing situation when you're renting in Bend? Yeah, well, I nailed it. Yeah, I knew it. No, it's not that.
That's a great guess, though. That's a great guess because we signed an 18-month lease, and the owner let us out of that without even charging.
Well, he let you out because I think he and the rest of the neighbors wanted you guys out, right? That's kind of the case.
I swear to God, like if you lived next door to me, you would think I was the greatest neighbor ever.
You love your dogs. No one loves dogs more than you.
When I was in the Renton Highlands, you talked to Fernando, my neighbor there.
Fernando. Let's get him on the show.
Yeah, he used to work for the Bellevue Fire Department. He plays golf. He's having a ball being retired. Fernando would tell you that I was a hell of a neighbor. But, down here in Bend, I just had a dickhead that lived across the cul-de-sac who was not a good neighbor. Okay? He didn't like my dogs. All right?
We got to get Fernando on the show. Fernando's got to jump on.
Yeah, well, Fernando's awesome, and he would vouch for me, just like Chris Kidd will vouch for me. Yeah,
okay, I just texted him. How many times do you think Jim was late to work?
Yeah, did he text back yet?
Well, he's got a show. He's doing a show right now.
I know,
just
but
like
you text during your show sometimes.
Yeah, I mean he'll text back. I know he will.
Yeah.
All right, we got Seahawks, another offensive candidate who's 28.
You want my thoughts on that?
Yeah. Chris just texted back. He said easily minimum 7 times.
7?
Thanks, Chris.
That's such total bullshit.
Well,
that's just not true. I don't. What's the word? I don't like being maligned like this. Unfairly maligned.
Great word, maligned.
Yeah. Well, that's what's happening right now.
I know. Well, I'm here for it. Do you want to start with the Seahawks and the 28-year-old guy that wanted to get his thoughts on this dude?
No, nobody wants my thoughts on that.
Grant Udinski, 28 years old, assistant offensive coordinator, assistant QB coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Or can we talk about, I want to ask you this because I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Where are you going to be for the World Series parade after the signing of Donovan, Solano, and Miles Mastrobuoni?
Yeah, right there on 4th Avenue with everyone else.
Yeah, I'm going to be on 4th Avenue. Are we going to party together?
Fireball like Marshawn, we're going to have the fireball going.
Actually, Chris now revised it. He said, I want to revise my 7 times. He says 10 easily.
10?
Yeah.
Screw Kid and whatever show he's doing over there.
He's doing a show with Greg Bell.
Yeah, I know he is. All right. I don't honestly, I'll say this right now. Like usually, what am I? I'm a self-deprecator, right?
We all are. We all are self-deprecating.
We're self-deprecators. We're sarcastic.
We push the envelope. We'll make fun of everyone, and people make fun of us.
I'm never going to be that guy like Chris Daniels when I win an Emmy that goes on Twitter and says, hey, look at what I got. I got one of these. Now, some smart ass out there in the audience
you're never going to win anything.
Because you'll never win one more.
Yeah, that's a fair point, though, right? I mean, that's a fair point that would say someone that would say that. Yeah, you would never win anything anymore.
Yeah, you'll never win one. I never won a sports writing award. Oh, well, no shit. You weren't good enough to win one. Okay, but basically I've always been a humble person, okay? Because I've never, thought, hey, look at me and what I'm doing. I hate those kind of people. Look at me and what I'm doing. Okay, but what I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say it anyway. I think that what you and I are doing is better than what they're offering at the station where we no longer work.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to say that. And I'm going to feel strongly about that. I think we do a better job than what they're doing over there. Our replacements, okay?
Yeah.
Is that a person who's bitter saying that? Yes.
Chris
but it's also
Kidd.
a person who's being truthful.
At
And I like
least
Greg Bell,
10
and I like
times.
Chris Kidd. I'm sorry, but I think we're doing a better job. I love those guys, though. I do.
I mean, I think I'm doing a good job. I just think that, when you're here, you do a good job.
And, and again, I never thought I set the world on fire doing sports radio. I never did. I sucked when I led when you weren't there. Everybody heard that and knew that.
Oh, I think you were great. I think people
No, I
loved
got
it.
a little better at it, but I was never comfortable doing it. I'm
People tuned
perfectly
in.
comfortable being a sidekick and just, whatever you talk about, I'll just play off of that. But, when I had to drive the damn show, it was in the ditch most of the time.
A buddy of mine just sent me, talking about the Meredith moves, just sent me an article from, I don't know, some Cubs fan site, cubscribe.com, all right? And the headline of the article is, Cubs offensive black hole officially lands in AL West after post-DFA trade. Jim, I'm going to use laughter for him. Laughter is my medicine now for these guys.
Oh, I know. I heard
I'm
your
laughter.
podcast
I'm just going to
yesterday.
laugh. I'm just going to laugh now.
You will not.
I am. I promise. I'm
No,
just going to laugh. I'm laughing.
You can't do it.
I can.
You
I
said
can do it.
yesterday you reserve the right to change, and you'll change.
I do reserve the right to change. You damn
Well,
right.
the reason that you need to reserve that right is because we still have 3.5 weeks until spring training starts. And
Okay.
they will do something.
They will. You promised me. You're promising they're going to do something.
It'll be a Castillo trade.
So they're going to trade Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
Great.
I believe that will happen.
Okay.
But right now, I'm with
For
you.
who?
I mean, and God, you're making fun of the chubby guy that's coming in.
Yeah. Well, because he's chubby like me.
Is he fat? Is the guy fat?
No, he's chubby like me. He's chubby.
Okay. So
He's
he won't be coming into Peoria in the best shape of his career.
No, Donovan Solano, just like I'm never in the best shape of my life. No, he's not going to be coming in the best shape of his life.
And here's another thought that I had. Like the Mariners love all this versatility, right? And platoons and all that.
It's all they have
Can
is
we
a team
just
of
get
platooners.
one guy that's really good at one position and can hit lefties and righties?
No,
can we do that?
Not allowed, Jim. Not allowed. Not allowed to have that. You cannot have that. No.
Yeah. I mean, I want to hear from Dipoto just one time. Like, yeah, this guy hits the shit out of lefties and righties. And by the way, he only plays one position.
He just plays
okay.
third base,
and he gets a Gold Glove at that one position. But we weren't in on him because he didn't have the versatility we were looking for.
My favorite part about Donovan Solano is that. Okay, so he plays first base and third base. That's what he plays. He doesn't play second base, and he doesn't play at all. He has 8 home runs. I mean, I know home runs not a stat anymore. We can't have home runs be a stat or runs driven in anymore. It's got to be WRC plus and OPS plus and barrel rate and hard hit rate and yada yada yada. The guy, when we grew up, and it's still true today. Whoever plays it first and plays your corner positions should hit the ball for power and hit the ball out and drive in runs. This guy, I'm laughing, doesn't do any of it.
Okay, what is he, a switch hitter or what is he?
No, he hits a right side. He
left.
murders left.
Okay, well then that's okay at first base because you got Rayleigh over there.
Okay, so then, but they still, like Daniel Kramer wrote at MLB.com that they're still in talks with Justin Turner. Why then? Why are you talking to Justin Turner?
Well, maybe they're going to use the chubby kid over at third.
I like chubby third baseman. I do. I'm a big chubby third baseman guy.
Can he get to the balls down the line and in the hole?
No, because he'll bend over and he'll just fall over, just like I would. Pulled something.
What'd we give the Cubs? Cash considerations?
Cash considerations for Mastrobuoni.
Well, I didn't think the Mariners had much in the way of cash to hand out.
Jim, did you see his numbers? This guy, he's terrible. He's awful.
Well, then what did they see in him?
I don't know. He's versatile. He can play everywhere.
He's a good clubhouse guy.
Good clubhouse guy. His name's Miles Mastrobuoni. I don't know.
Where'd they get him from?
The Cubs. Are you listening?
No, who's it? Well, no, I get him him mixed up with the other guy.
They got him from the Cubs. Solano played for the Padres.
All right. Okay.
Divish is coming up at 11.
That's what the team needs. A bunch of guys like Dylan Moore. They already have Dylan Moore, and now Dylan Moore suddenly is like a starter.
Jim, in his 3 years in baseball.
If this were basketball, Dylan Moore would be like, what, the 10th or 11th guy? And now he's a starter.
This guy's a career Mastrobuoni. He's a career 219 hitter with his OPS at 543. He has slugged in 3 years 263. Slugging.
Yeah, but what, with the new batting philosophy, he probably doesn't strike out that much because that's what they're really trying to emphasize, which they emphasized last year and the year before, and it didn't quite work out the way they planned that. But
I don't know what's a strikeout percentage. Oh, yeah, last year he struck out 16% of the time.
Okay. All right.
But for his career, he's at 20%. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, he's the kind of guy that uses all fields, Puck.
Oh, God.
Run prevention.
I don't know what to
They're
do anymore.
They're still going to be really good in run prevention, though.
That's why I got to laugh.
Yeah.
You just got to laugh. It's just, okay. Someone asked me, another buddy of mine asked me yesterday, he's like, why do you care so much? Like, just why? Like, I'm out. He's like, I'm out. I'm not watching it anymore. I don't care anymore. They don't get my money. And I just said, I like baseball. I can't stop it. I don't know. Why do I eat peanut butter out of a jar? Because I have an addiction. I don't know. Just do. Can't stop.
Well, it really wouldn't matter that much if they had a crummy rotation. And
if I stopped, if you and I stopped watching, do you think it changes them going, oh, well, hey, those two guys are not watching anymore, so we shouldn't do anything, or we should now start spending our money? Like yesterday, I'm going to ask this to Divish. I know what he's going to already say to me before I even ask it. Well, that's a different pool of money. Okay, but it all comes from the same spot. So they spent $4 million. They're going to spend $4 million today. It's International Signing Day is opening up today. They're going to spend $4 million on two guys in that international pool. I think both are from the Dominican. That's more money they've spent in the offseason. Yeah. On guys that can help them immediately. These guys can't help them immediately.
Well, like how does that happen? When does any of it make sense? Because you mentioned.
But how do you just answer me this? You tell everyone you got $15 million to spend, but yet you can spend $4 million on guys who aren't going to see the field in, I don't know, 6 years?
If
ever. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned it yesterday. A businessman, usually, if you look at it, like if you spend money on your team is probably going to be better. Not necessarily, but you like your chances of it being better. And if your team is better, more people are going to come to the ballpark. Yeah. You're going to make the playoffs, maybe even get to the World Series. You'll make more money in the postseason. So you'll make more money than a team that wins 85 games. And I always come back to being, I want to be the guy that did it for the first time. How much money is enough anyway? I mean, Staton and the rest of those guys, why is money so damn important when you're at that level of money making like they are in their lives?
I don't know.
I don't get it. Like if I'm Stanton, I'm thinking, man, I want to be the first that brought a World Series to Seattle. I mean, that's when you go to the guy's funeral, that'd be a pretty cool thing to say about him, wouldn't it?
All right. So are we rubes? Are we fools for just still buying it? No, I'm not. It's not like I'm buying in. Not like I'm buying into what they're doing. I just like baseball, and they're the team in our city, and we root for them. I'm not going to go pick a new team. I'm stuck with them. Well,
yeah, I'll keep watching them, and I don't root for them as hard as I will once Jerry's gone, just because I can't stand Jerry. It's just like with the Seahawks. Like I try and root for him, but as long as Dave Pearson's working over there, I'm not going to be fully in. And as long as Dipoto's still with the Mariners, I'm not fully in. I like Tonto. I want Tonto to have more of a role. It's bullshit that they even call him a general manager because he's just like, Jerry's just pulling the puppet strings with him. I mean, God,
first of all,
Tonto at least seems like he's not full of shit. Like he tries to not be full of shit at least. But Jerry, everybody knows he's full of shit, but he just keeps on throwing it out there anyway.
Remember, we talked about the swearing. Stop it. You've sworn like 7 times already.
I'm not doing the F word anymore.
It's still swearing. Stop.
You like the Dave Pearson thing, though, don't you?
Oh, God. No, okay, people don't know who he is, or there's maybe one or two people who know who he is. He's the PR director for the Seahawks. Dave, if this ever gets back to you, I enjoy your company. Okay?
No, you don't. No one does. No one does.
That is unfair.
There's not a reporter over there that's like, yeah, God, I love Dave Pearson.
You are incorrect.
I'm sorry. I hold a grudge on that guy because he was always like hovering and like, oh, God, what's Jim Moore going to write today?
Okay, but that's how
He's maybe something that somebody wants to read, Dave.
That's how he's just doing his job. Stop it.
Oh, God. His dad was a sports editor. He knows how this game is played.
Well, and he knows that people like you want to dig up dirt on his players, and he's trying to do the best he can.
I told him once, I'm not looking for dirt. I'm not looking for dirt. I'm looking for stories that people want to read. That's all.
And then,
but he was always a dick. God, I'm sorry.
Do you think the third question into like you just want to have stories that people want to read? Do you think the third question in about, hey, do you have a dog? Do you think people want to read that?
Yeah, I do.
I do too. I do too.
I told somebody the story the other day about when I asked Tiger Woods about his dog, and I wrote about his border collies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm a shallow person. I admit it.
That's okay. It's okay to be shallow.
I mean, you don't like Jerry, do you?
Dipoto? I don't know him personally.
No, well, do you like him or not like him?
I don't like. Okay,
he's full of it, man.
Let me answer the question.
Smartest guy in the room. I'm Jerry Dipoto. You know, I mean.
Okay, I don't like that. I don't like people that act like that. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I don't like when people admit that they were wrong. It's okay to say I'm wrong about something, and
it's okay to say I don't know too.
It's okay to say I don't know. I will acknowledge as a GM, it's not like he's been a complete, utter failure, okay? I don't think he's been a failure at all.
No, he hasn't.
I just, and then we've talked about this all the time. I don't know how the restraints, I don't know. Maybe he wants to go out and spend money. Maybe he's a GM that says, I want to go out and get these guys, but if I can't do it, if my ownership doesn't let me do it, like I can't do anything.
No, you're right about that. You're right about that. What are you gonna buy for $15 million in the baseball market?
You know what you buy? It buys you Mastrobuoni and Donovan Solano. That's what it gets you.
It's dollar store stuff that they bring in.
I mean, I go back to what Divish told me last week or 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh man, they were real shooken up over there when they couldn't get Carlos Santana." And I'm thinking, I mean, I like Carlos Santana, but come on. That was the move. That was the one you were kind of pinning your hopes on. And then we all knew as Mariner fans, because we are conditioned to never have any good things. We all knew that there was no chance they were getting Roki Sasaki. That never was going to happen. Because remember, that was the big offseason. Well, if they get Roki Sasaki, they spend no money on him, right? Then they can trade Castillo, which made perfect sense. But they didn't even get in the finalists for Roki Sasaki. There are reports he didn't even meet with them.
Like, Mariners? Who are they?
Aren't we supposed to get like every Japanese guy because we used to be owned by a Japanese owner? We got nobody.
Well, maybe what the philosophy, I guess, is just keep trying to win 1-0 and 2-1 games, I guess.
I get that's probably the philosophy. Yeah. Just go down that road.
And are we sold on Dan Wilson for some reason? Like what? I just don't understand. I don't understand the Dan Wilson thing either. I mean, maybe it'll work out. Maybe it'll be gangbusters success. Well,
I don't know. I mean, am I sold on him? I don't think anyone could say you're sold on him. I mean, I think they played better when he was the manager. Did they not? I thought they played better.
They did. They did.
Yeah, I thought they looked better. So, I mean, I think there's reason to be optimistic.
God, I'm just taking shots at everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this lawyer must have really fouled you up today. Yeah, wow, okay. I can tell when you really don't want to talk about.
Couldn't we have tried someone different than Dan Wilson, though? I mean, shouldn't he have been interim manager and then you opened it up at the end of the season?
Oh, I don't know, but I knew years ago. This is where I'm going to pat myself on the back when we do the end of the year awards for what you got right and what you got wrong. I said I talked about this 3 years ago. I knew he was going to be the manager of this team one day. I knew it. Okay, was that because you thought he'd be a good choice or because you knew that's the direction the Mariners would go? Knew the direction they would go, and I just knew he kind of fits what they want, and they love dipping their toes back in 95.
What does he fit what they want? Like being a yes man to Jerry?
I think to a degree. To ownership. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right.
I just had a good vibe that he would eventually be the guy. When they brought him in the organization, he was like a roving manager, roving instructor. Then he went to Tacoma. I just thought the writing was on the wall. That, that Scott Service probably looking over his shoulder, that one day he'd be the guy. And he's the guy. I mean, I'm going to give him a fair shot. See what he does with the full season.
I should too. That was an unfair shot.
You should. Yeah.
And I apologize, Dan. You were always great as a player to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, clubhouse and all that.
Took an unfair shot.
Okay, right now, if the Mariners go status quo into spring training and into the season, what'd they win last year? How many games?
Ooh, God, that's 89.
Was it 88?
88?
85?
God, I can't remember now. Hold on, I'll find out.
Okay, do you think they'll go over their win total from last year or under?
If they stand pat?
Yeah.
Under. They were 85. I think they'll, 85. What did I say, 89? Yeah, I think they'll be under 85.
Under 85.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can argue that pitching staff that they have should be as good, if not better, than
Why
what
should
it was
be better?
last year. One more year of experience. Those guys are still young. The core of that rotation.
Avoided major
injuries. You could argue that Miller and Moo might even be, as good, if not better.
Okay.
God, but just think about that. I know you have, so I don't even know why I'm saying think about that.
Think about this. Can you talk about the Mariners? Yeah, go ahead.
The word squander? God, they're squandering just the riches that they have. Everybody knows that. That's why it's more frustrating than typical Mariner seasons because, I've been watching since 77. And, when they're crummy, oh, well, big deal. They're not going to be that good this year.
I was 2, by the way.
Huh? What?
77, I was 2.
Oh, you were at least born, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the word squander. The other word I like that's kind of like squander, like sounds familiar or similar? Squalor.
Squalor? Squalor means like crummy and sad.
You live in squalor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you're homeless, if you're a hobo, you live in squalor, right?
Yeah, if you're a hobo. To all the hobos watching, I'm told we are big in the hobo community. Send a picture where you're listening to the podcast.
I liked it when I was listening to you with Danny Kelly last week, and you made some sort of hobo comment, and Danny was like, God, I don't really know what to respond to that.
Well, he lives in Bellingham. It's like hobo paradise up there.
Are there a bunch of hobos in Bellingham?
In Bellingham? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that.
It's like Disneyland for the hobos.
They love it. When I first started working with you at the old studio, and we could look at the hobos across the street.
Oh, that was the best. In the dog park? God, I miss that. Do you remember the one day that it caught on fire? Remember the hobos set the couch on fire? Yeah. God, that was the best.
How have we not been hit by a lightning bolt, man?
Those poor dog owners.
So bad talking about hobos.
Those Queen Anne dogs.
Who the hell am I? I might have a cardboard sign on an off ramp someday.
Those Queen Anne dog owners over there throwing the ball for their dogs, and hobo Jimmy's over there just cooking up a meal on his couch. Just like, good Lord. Hey,
that was a nice studio, though.
Oh, it was a great studio.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Tiger event? Did you watch Tiger?
Yeah. You know what? And I'm so stupid. I told myself, whichever team Tiger's playing against, I'm betting on them because Tiger and Kisner are on the same team. Come on, they're too old, and they're not going to match up with Thigala and Morikawa and Justin Rose. Come on.
Did you see
and I put 5 on Tiger's team anyway because he was getting 8-5 odds.
How about the shot from Kevin Kisner? Yeah. Look at this. A shank. Kevin Kisner shanked it from the sand and hit the flag. He was terrible. Kevin Kisner was awful last night.
Yeah. Well, Kisner's out of practice. I mean, because he's like a commentator now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I still think it's fun. You know who really complains about those? My wife. She was watching with me last night. She goes, "This is the most ridiculous thing. Men and their games." She just was beside herself,
You know,
saying she couldn't understand the popularity of it.
You know what I thought
think
about?
I still think it's kind of cool.
Okay, let me ask you something. Do you understand? Do you like it when the gaming community? You know how big that is, where people watch other people play video games. Do you get that?
No, I don't get that because I don't follow Fortnite and Call of Duty and all those games.
But do you understand it?
It gives me a better understanding why people would enjoy that now.
Because of watching this, right? Because it's the same thing.
The holes are cool, aren't they?
Well, yeah, you're basically watching them play a video game. That's what you're watching. You're watching professional golfers play a video game.
But they're actually hitting shots, though, too.
True.
Video game guys are just using their thumbs.
I understand that, but it kind of, to me, is the same thing. So it has given me, why I don't really like it is because I wouldn't sit and watch someone play video games. Like, listen, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but they're hitting into a screen. Like, it's...
No, I know, but they're professional golfers.
I get it. Well, sure? Because Kisner didn't look like one.
No, I know.
It looked
God,
terrible.
Homa was probably going, what am I doing with these two guys?
I think Max Homa was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get a new team immediately.
But they're doing it on a good night. There's nothing going on a Tuesday night. I mean, you got college hoops, I suppose, in the NBA too. But
yeah,
if you're going to make a go of it, Tuesday night's a good night to do it.
I mean, I still just do. I think to me, I said this, I think last week, I think the end game is like, we're going to open this up for like corporations and like bachelor parties and all that. Like, that's the end game.
Yeah.
But
do you like all the little celebrity flavor they have there?
Yeah.
With Serena Williams there.
I didn't watch too much of it, Jim. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really tune in.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I just.
So you're faking your way through this?
No, I mean, I watched the highlights of it, but I didn't. It wasn't, again, I told you, it's not going to really be appointment setting for me. I want to watch when they play real golf, like on a real course.
Who are you taking this week in Vegas?
Oh, somebody that's going to finish last.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards Adam Hadwin.
Yeah, I had him in my final three, and I ended up going with Harry Hall and Nick Dunlap, who won last year.
Hoagie's supposed to be doing well there too.
Yeah. Adam
is it
Hadwin,
Is it Hogue or Hoagie? I can't remember.
I think it's Hogue or Hoge.
Is it Hogue?
I don't know.
I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin. So book it right now. And Adam Hadwin, who has unbelievable success there.
Yes, he does.
I don't think he's missed a cut. And I think he's like top 10 galore, even like top 5 galore. Now you watch, he'll miss the cut.
And he's one of the best at par threes, and the par threes there are the most difficult holes.
Yeah, you watch. I'm going to be destined for misery.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go. Rob Staton's waiting by. All right, this was...
No, he's not. You taped with him.
Well, that's what I mean, but he's still waiting by. I need to get to it.
He's not waiting. You and I could keep going, and then you can run the tape on Rob anytime. I got plenty of time now. I don't have to talk to the attorney anymore.
It's a long visit, and then I got Divish coming up at the top of the hour. If you were on time, we could have had more wonderful time together, but you decided to be late.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay. I love you to death. Good luck with the lawyer. See you on Friday.
All right. Take care. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, Jim Moore, the go-to guy, with us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Again, brought to you by, I don't think we ever got to it. Sorry, Brian. A Clean Streak. Clean Streak is the one-stop window cleaning operation there by Brian Turner, our good friend. Clean Streak. Go visit them, cleanstreak.com, there for the very latest. Yeah, I caught up with Rob earlier today. Rob had work to do over in London tonight, so it's evening for him. So caught up with Rob Staton from Seahawks Draft Blog. Rob and I, as the weeks go on, will just be doing off-season looks. We put the offense under the microscope this week. We'll look at the defense next week. We'll get into the draft. That's how Rob started, right, with the draft anyways, was SeahawksDraftBlog.com. So we talked DK, Geno, offensive line. What are they going to do with all guys and their contracts, Tyler Lockett, and just the state of the offense. Here he is, our weekly chat with Rob Staton. All right, time to talk more football. A little Seahawks football. We do it every single week with one of our favorites. It's Rob Staton. It's all brought to you by Superior Linen Service, family owned and operated since 1926. Superior Linen Service committed to delivering the highest quality products and services to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today at suplinen.com. Give them a call, 253-383-2636. You can stay up to date with all Rob's insights, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Video content up at YouTube, his YouTube channel, Rob Staton Football, and follow him on X at Rob Staton. We talk to Rob again every week inside the Puck Sports Studios built by Limback Lumber. All right, Rob, I thought as we are now into the offseason, no playoffs to talk about. That's fun again. I thought each week as we kind of wind it down, get through the Super Bowl, we would look at position groups or offense and defense. I want to look at the offense today. Then we'll get in more specifics as we get closer to the Super Bowl. And of course, a big part of what you do is the NFL draft. We've got news on that today concerning the NFL draft with a quarterback who I know that you've looked at a bunch and I think still like in Quinn Ewers. I want to get your thought on that from Texas. All right, let's jump into the offense because that was the big thing this year, right? I mean, the defense kind of got slow start, but ultimately they were able to turn it around under Mike McDonald. They fired Ryan Grubb. They're interviewing a bunch of guys, including the latest one from the Vikings that we'll get to as well. They finished 18th in scoring this year, Rob. They were 14th in total yards, 8th in passing, and then again 28th in rushing. Ultimately, besides just Grubb, what led to this offense not fulfilling its potential? Because you and I did a bunch of shows before the season started, and I was so much more excited about the offense than the defense, and then obviously that didn't turn out because they fired their offense coordinator.
Well, I will ask you, Puck, what is the big problem with the offense?
Well, I know what it is. I want you to say it.
It's the offensive line. It's the offensive line. Okay, so it's the offensive line, and they need to fix the offensive line this offseason. And when you say fix the offensive line,
can they do it, Rob?
Yeah, they
come
can.
On.
Listen, they can. And fixing it, we need to sort of establish what fixing it means. That doesn't mean having the 2005 Seahawks offensive line, does it? It means having a non-shambles. So they have an opportunity. I think there are some players in free agency. Don't get me wrong. There's not a Joe Tooney like there was 4 or 5 years ago out there in free agency, unless Trey Smith reaches free agency. And then they should go and reset the market at guard and sign him if Kansas City lets him out the door. They should go and do that. But assuming that he doesn't hit the market, there are players they can invest in to get some veteran experience on that line. And then they need to go into this draft where there are great options. I think great options. I'm not saying amazing players. I'm not saying that they're gonna draft an all-pro at 18 or if they trade down a little bit, but they can get a really good interior offensive lineman. I'll settle for that, Puck. So if they can draft a good offensive lineman, if they can sign a couple of other veteran interior offensive linemen, I think they've got a chance to not be a shambles this year.
But Rob, you know this. The problem is not drafting guys. They've drafted plenty of guys. They just don't ever get it right. I mean, the case in point last year with Christian Haynes. Do they have the right personnel on their staff to actually draft the right people? Because God, they haven't been able to do it for a decade, it seems. They haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, they definitely haven't been able to do it for a decade. Well, they've got to get the staff. That's the thing. They're interviewing somebody who is an offensive line expert, who's played offensive line for 11 years, who's coached a great offensive line. Maybe they should just give him the job and say, okay, that's the priority. You if you want someone who can coach an offensive line, go and get Hank Fraley. Yeah. And then in terms of why has it not worked? I think it is definitely is coaching. I think there's other things that have been at play here. Stop drafting. They drafted Ethan Posick. He played center at LSU. Where did he start training camp? Right tackle. Then he played guard. And then about 3 years into his career, they gave him a go at center. And then you look at Damian Lewis. Right guard all of his time at LSU. Has a fantastic rookie season at left guard. They trade for Gabe Jackson. We'll shift him to left guard. Like, stop doing stuff like this.
So draft, if you want a guard, you're saying here, just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. If they want to get a guard in the draft the guard.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I just want to.
There's good guards. Sure. Like, listen, look, there are good tackles who project to guard as well, and there's certain players who I wouldn't have an issue with them if they drafted a left tackle and moved into left guard, because I think that's their best position. But there is a guard, there's a guard like Tyler Booker. He's about 330 pounds. He finishes. He's huge. He moves people off the line. He's the only offensive lineman who played well for Alabama all season. Go and get him. Just go and plug him in at left guard. He can start week 1. He's a leader. He's a captain. He's everything that you want in an offensive lineman. Just go and draft him. I don't know whether he's going to be Steve Hutchinson. He probably isn't going to be Steve Hutchinson. But do you know what? I'll take a chance on him working out and being pretty good for you. And then you might have 2 or 3 positions that you've drafted that can be pretty good. And then maybe you can get some veterans. Maybe they can actually, I don't know, find a guard later on as well. Because that's something they've not done for a long time, is find that legit starting guard in round 3, round 4, round 5, which other teams tend to do. So am I optimistic they're going to be able to fix this? History suggests that a cause for optimism would be a little bit of blind faith there. But at least when you look at the players available in the draft and free agency, there is a pathway to have a go at this.
I hope you're right, man. It's we're going to sit here and talk about the offense and all the players and skill position players. We'll get to the offensive line and what the biggest issues on that offensive line are. But I mean, it's just we just keep thinking every year, this is the year. Is this the year they're going to be able to solve it? Whether the free agency, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know all these free agents on the offensive line. I don't sit there and watch offensive line play. I'm not an offensive line guru. I just find somebody that can play interior. I don't care who it is. Spend some money. I would say this, instead of looking at individual players, I would tell John Schneider, like he cares what I think, but hey, can you just reverse your philosophy of not paying these guys? Just stop it, because it makes it worthwhile if you spend money on the offensive line. Please just do it. It will make your life better. If you have to take it from someplace else, then take it from someplace else. When you went to the Super Bowl, the offensive line was the most expensive position group on your team, and you went to the Super Bowl and you won it. And I know you weren't paying the quarterback money, and I get all that, so it allowed you to do it, but I just wish he would change that philosophy.
Can I ask you a question then? So let's say that Trey Smith, so the Kansas City Chiefs right guard, everybody would probably agree that he's one of the top 5 players who are going to reach free agency at any position in this offseason. He's a great age. I think he's about 26 years old, and he's played at an elite level for the Chiefs. The highest paid guard in the NFL right now, Puck, is earning $21 million a year. If I said to you it would cost $25 million a year to bring Trey Smith to Seattle, would you reset the market by $4 million to guarantee getting him?
Sure.
Because I'd do it in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even be a second thought for me. And if John Schneider fails, if that signing doesn't work out, at least no one can accuse John Schneider of signing 3 players for $8 million instead, which is what he's tended to do.
What was the famous, was it last year when he made the comment?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's
overdrafted and overpaid.
Yeah. I mean, God, it's the interior line is to me, the offensive line as a whole, but the interior line is just the lifeblood of your football team. All right, let's go there then, because we all acknowledge the biggest issue with this offense this year was the offensive line. So if we look at it right now, we're going to book in the line with the tackles. Abe Lucas said after the season, I'm going to go into the offseason the healthiest I've ever been. All right, great news. Great news. Charles Cross, there no doubt will pick up his 5th-year option. So you are set at the tackle spot. Now we get into the interior. Do we just revamp? Do we wipe away all 3? Do Oluwatimi show us anything to think that maybe we'll give him another opportunity at center?
Keep Oluwatimi because he's contracted for 2 more years at a very cheap cost, and he can be a good backup. But I would go out and get a center. If you want experience, proven ability, Ryan Kelly might be available. Josh Myers, take a chance on him from Green Bay. Drew Dalman is a player that I liked a lot in the draft and is a good center. I would go and get one of those guys. And there's Jake Majors in the draft. It's a real shame that Seth McLaughlin at Ohio State's got an Achilles injury because he would be another great option in the draft. But you've got some players there. You have got to add a center. So whether you're going to go big and spend big money there, or whether you're going to go cheap, would you be up for Bradley Bozeman, the guy who's playing for the Chargers right now? The guy who leveled that guy, took his head off because he had that low tackle on Justin Herbert. Give me a Bradley Bozeman for you and throw him into the competition. I want somebody else in there at center. And then at right guard, I appreciate they've drafted Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes and Lomea. Hey, I've not seen enough from any of those three guys to think that position is sold. I want another guard thrown into the mix. And it doesn't have to be someone who's going to cost $20 million a year. Maybe you go and take a reclamation project. Maybe it's a Jedrick Wills from Cleveland and you move him to guard. Maybe you go and try and get Mekhi Becton, who's had a good year for the Eagles, playing right guard. Maybe you go and get Austin Corbett. I'm guessing he's going to be pretty cheap after his injury for the Panthers. But you've got to throw somebody else into the mix there. And if you don't, I think you could still use the draft for a guard or a center. And I'd go and get a left guard. Go and invest in a left guard. I still think Tyler Booker at Alabama, he's the first guy that I wrote up as a scouting report last summer. He just seems tailor-made to start week 1 in the NFL. Go and get him. If they've got a brand new interior offensive line put, that for me would be a big tick for the offseason, regardless of what else happens with Geno and DK and everything else.
So if we look at the market now, you got to go into an offseason again where you're going to replace 3/5 of your offensive line. I guess the question is, I know you can, but is it realistic to accomplish that?
I think it's just necessary. I'm afraid it's not good. You're absolutely right to bring it up. It's not a good thing to have this total lack of consistency up front. But they're bad, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's bad. An understatement. Of course they're bad. They're awful.
So you have to change them. I think you have to change them.
God, it is amazing that it has been a struggle for this organization to achieve some competency along that offensive line. And I know we've talked about this before. When I looked at it the other day, and I giggle. And I this is like yesterday with the Mariners. I use laughter to mask my anger towards the team. So I'm going to use laughter here with the Seahawks and their inability to find an offensive line. The guy that's on their staff as an assistant, as like an advisor on the offensive line, is again the second greatest offensive lineman in the history of the organization, Steve Hutchinson.
Maybe he should play left guard.
And that part of me wants to be like, can you just suit up and play?
Just one more year.
You could do better.
One more year. Run it back.
Yes, one more year. All right. So, okay, we got to we replace 3/5 of the offensive line. So again, it's another offseason of that. Let's the other part. What do we do with the quarterback? He's a $44 million cap hit. He's a free agent in 26, and we talk about Geno Smith all the time. Most yards in his career, highest completion percentage. Although through the most interceptions he's ever done. What kind of deal are we looking at to retain Geno Smith?
I think he wants a lot of money and he wants a commitment. If you listen to, the Brady Hendersons of the world and other people who have in the past been shown to be very reliable, they've all had a consistent theme in the last 10 days, which is to sort of suggest that a parting might be more likely than maybe it seemed a few weeks ago. And I get the impression it stems to what Albert Breer said before the Bears game, is that he wants a commitment. So that doesn't mean that the situation can't change between now and the middle of March when the money will toll. But right now, it seems like Geno wants the Seahawks to show him the money. And I think John Schneider thinks, I ain't showing you the money. Like, we can come to a compromise deal here and we'll have you back. But I want the ability to move on in a year if needs be. I want your cap hit of $44.5 million cannot sustain. That has to come down. So it's going to be, what's the meat in the middle part? And Puck, I really wish I had a good answer for what that is. I have got no idea. I think the Seahawks I think a lot of people are going, 40 million, 35, that'd be about the sweet spot. I don't think John Schneider wants to pay that. I don't think he wants to pay.
Not even that much. So I know, something that's been thrown around, 3 years, 105, which comes out to 35. You don't even think he wants to go that high?
No.
Yeah.
He's 35 this year. I don't think he wants to commit that kind of money. I think he wants to probably do a deal very similar to the last one he did.
Yeah.
And this is the issue with Geno is Geno at $7 million, 2022, bargain. Fantastic. Amazing story.
Of course it
Geno
was.
Geno a little bit more expensive. That's fine. We can live with this. Geno getting even more expensive as he gets even older and approaches 35. And then you start to think, okay, he does a lot of good things. There's other quarterbacks who do a lot of good things as well, or potentially could be the next Geno Smith. So I think this is in the balance. I think it's 50-50 whether he stays.
It's interesting, though, because they both – I don't know who has got the leverage in this. Maybe, do we tilt it in Seattle's favor? I don't know, just because they have no answer at quarterback right now, what they want to do. And then for Geno, I don't know what leverage he has because what you just brought up, age. How many teams are going to want to pay him what he wants to get paid? He wants to be paid elite money. And I don't think anyone is going to do that. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think anyone's going to pay him what he wants, what he thinks he's valued at. Whatever show he goes on Richard Sherman's podcast or whatever he says in the press where he feels like, in his mind, Rob, he feels like he should be a top 5 paid quarterback in the league. That's how he feels.
Leverage is interesting, as you said, because the Seahawks, the problem for the Seahawks is they're bidding against themselves. If Geno had the chance to go and see what everybody else could offer, and the Seahawks would then be well aware of what other teams are offering, and they could act accordingly. And I suspect what happened last time is there wasn't much of a market, and the Seahawks did him a solid. They did a deal that they were comfortable with, but no more than that. And this time, Geno's going in going, I want this. And the Seahawks are going, no, because you wouldn't get that if you were a free agent. So then the leverage comes down to how prepared are the Seahawks to cut the guy? If they're fully prepared to cut him, the Seahawks have all of the leverage. If the Seahawks look at it and think, oh my God, we might cut him and not have anybody next year, then Geno has the leverage. And it'll be interesting to see how minded the Seahawks are to move on. But what I would say is, this is a team that moved on from this is a GM that moved on from Matt Hasselbeck. This is a GM that moved on from Matt Flynn without him even playing it down. This is a GM that traded Russell Wilson. I think he's prepared to move on. And therefore, I think the Seahawks have the leverage. And it's just whether or not Geno and his camp think our best situation is to stay here. We'll compromise. But are they prepared to do that? Who knows?
I like how you say leverage. It's leverage is better than leverage. And I'm going to start saying leverage instead of leverage. It just sounds better. It rolls off the tongue. It rolls off the tongue better. Okay, so what are their? Let's say they don't bring them back. And March 16th is the really kind of the big day because that's when they got to pick up that $16 million. Sam, do you shy away from Sam Darnold? Let's say Sam Darnold's available. Let's say the Vikings don't do anything and Sam Darnold's available. You gun shy with the last 2 games? I'm not gun shy the last 2 games. I know some people would be, and maybe he's turned back into a pumpkin. I don't know. I agree with Kevin O'Connell. I would look more at the body of work than just 2 games.
Well, how did the 2022 season finish? It finished with a fairly disappointing performance by Geno Smith in a hammering in the playoffs.
Oh, yes.
And the Seahawks re-signed him and moved forward with him. I think this is the thing with Sam Darnold. I can imagine what the reaction is going to be to this in the comments already. But I think that when you look at Darnold, he's just had a 14-win season. He's thrown for 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He is 5 years, is it, younger than Geno Smith? 5 years younger than Geno
Yes.
Smith. So if he's a similar price, I'm happily doing Sam Darnold. And the thing is that he may be a little bit more expensive than Geno, but that for his age, I'd probably go in that direction. I think it's a bridge that buys you a bit more time. He's not. I don't think Sam Darnold's winning you a Super Bowl, but I don't think Geno Smith is. So you might as well have the younger guy. You could restructure his cap hit like they did with Baker Mayfield. It could be as low as $7 million next year, like Baker's was. That would free up, it basically half how much you're spending at quarterback if you go in that direction in 2025. And that might help you improve the offensive line. So a lot of people won't like it, but I am not going to overreact to 2 games against an unbelievable Detroit team on the road and a Rams team that were so motivated to win that game, Puck, after what's happened in Los Angeles over the last few days. Coached, by the way, by a legend, really. I don't think it's too early to say that in McVay. I think fair enough. Look, they ran into a buzzsaw in that game against the Rams.
It's interesting. Danny Kelly from The Ringer and I discussed this on the Tuesday show. There's been 7 trades in the NFL for head coaches. What do you think Sean McVay would command?
All of the picks.
Just all of them. Take it. I think we looked back, and off the top of my head, I think Peyton was the most. I think he was 2 first rounds. A second? I got to go back. You know what? I can go back and look real quick. But it whatever. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Danny was like, I think 3 first. And I'm with you. I think all of them. He's just great. He's a great coach.
I just pushed the serviette over to the other side of the table and go, just put what you want on that.
Just whatever you would like. All right. As we continue to undress the offense here in the offseason, I think next week we'll do a deep dive on the defense, and I'm not going to look at the special teams because no one wants to talk about special teams. DK Metcalf, I had high hopes for him this year. I think a lot of people had high hopes for him this year, Rob, and boy, you got off to a great start, and it looked like there was a stretch of games early in the season. You're like, man, he's going to flourish in Ryan Grubb's offense. He still, again, has a decent year, 66 and 992, just 5 touchdowns. They have not been able to kind of unleash him in the red zone. That wasn't just a Grubb problem. That's always been a problem for any offensive coordinator. $31 million cap hit. He'll be a free agent in 26. This would be the year that you would do something with his contract. You wrote a big story about this up at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. I'd encourage people to go read it. In that, you make the point, listen, you can talk about trading him, but if you trade him, it's not going to save you any money.
It's not. And if DK Metcalf, if you could trade him and save $30 million next year, this offseason, then I think it's a totally different story. And I'd be saying, hey, 2nd or 3rd round pick, to save the money. That's a totally different situation. But the problem is that it will cost you $21 million just to trade him. You only save $10 million. And the other thing is that I looked into some of the contracts, Puck, in that, the receivers are getting $30 million a year, in quotes, for people who can't see that. And when you actually look at the contracts, they aren't $30 million a year. Brandon Ayuk signed a $30 million a year contract. He's going to get $10.7 million next season, $16.2 million the year after that. And then the cap hit balloons to $42 million. But by the time you get to that point in the contract, the Niners will either restructure it, they will cut him, or they will trade him. And they will save $20 million, which is exactly how much it'd cost you the dead money would be $20 million, which is exactly how much it'd be to trade DK now. So if you give DK Metcalf the Brandon Ayuk contract, all you do is kick the can down the road for 2 more years, save $20 million in cap space this year. You've got plenty of cap space in 2026 to take on a $16 million cap hit. I mean, there's no reason to trade him. The only way that you would trade him and absorb the $21 million cap hit for this year would be if you get blown out the way. If someone says, we're going to give you the 5th overall pick, that's different because they're getting something for that money then. But if someone says, we'll give you the 50th pick, there's no point. You might as well have the player. So I think everything is set up for Metcalf to be re-signed. Not saying that his performance deserves a big extension. All I would say is it's going to get announced. It'll be announced as a massive whopping contract. Everyone will overreact.
Yeah.
It's common sense, I'm afraid, to do this.
It is, but we were on Monday. We just kind of stumbled upon this and just looking back at the past Super Bowl champions, and I think we went back 7-8 years, and we looked at who the wide receivers were on those teams. I mean, none of them have high-priced wide receivers. Hardly any of them.
It's a great point, and
it's really weird. So I'm just thinking, is it wise in today's NFL? Like, I'm just looking at the value of contracts right now. Okay, the overall value. Yeah, Jefferson and Adams are each at $140 million. CeeDee Lamb's at $136 million. Again, now there are some exceptions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Okay, the Lions are certainly Super Bowl contenders and one of the favorites to win the whole thing. So again, this isn't just like if you pay a wide receiver, there's no chance you can be a Super Bowl contender. He's at 120. Then you mentioned Ayuk, DJ Moore. That DJ Moore contract is unbelievable. Amari Cooper, AJ Brown is 8th. But again, you've got AJ Brown who's, reading a book on the sideline complaining because he's not getting the ball enough. Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Anyways, I can go on and on. You get the point.
Yeah.
These teams just don't spend a ton of money on the wide receivers. Now, the common denominator with all these teams is really good quarterback play, like elite quarterback play. But I do think it brings up an interesting point. Do you, especially how Mike McDonald wants to see this offense go, I mean, how much money do you commit to these wide receivers? If you want to just be more of a run-first physical style offense anyways.
I'd be 100% all in on that view. The problem is the Seahawks have basically handcuffed themselves to this with the structure of DK's deal. They don't have a choice. They've almost backed themselves into a corner. So they're probably going to have to do it. But I take the point. Like if you want to be a physical AFC North style football team, by all means have great receivers or pay receivers, but make sure you've got an offensive line and a defensive line and a running game and a quarterback first.
Mm-hmm. And you got, Jackson Smith and Jigba's got one more year. It's after the next year. He can now, 3 years, he could negotiate a new deal going into his 4th year. They don't have to do that because he's a first-round pick, so they can pick up that 5th-year option. So they don't have to do anything. They could do something if they wanted to. They clearly are not going to bring Tyler Lockett back. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just does some like sweetheart minimum deal and he comes back. But it all signs point towards that Tyler Lockett is gone and has played his last game with the Seahawks. From a wide receiver group internally, who do you think steps up in that third role? Cody White? Phil? Is it Bobo? I almost called him Philip Bobo instead of Jake Bobo. Philip Bobo's like a Wazoo wide receiver from like 30 years ago.
I honestly don't think there's somebody on the roster right now who's capable of doing it. I think that, I've seen this, people increasingly amongst the fan base online are saying receivers a sneaky need, and it may well be, but I'm tired of being a finesse team. I'm tired of taking receivers early. Like, give me, if you need to, I'm looking at my board, go and take Ja'Cory Brooks in round 5 or Josh Kelly. You remember him?
Of course, I remember Josh. To me, Rob, I know you look at this stuff closer than I do. I came across a list of wide receivers where they were ranking like Kyle Williams, who played at Washington State, like 35th. And I'm thinking, if he's the 35th ranked wide receiver, to me, this is a pretty good class, it feels like.
Well, the great thing is it's not loaded at the top, but there's depth.
But there's a lot of depth. Yeah, okay, fine. So find him later then.
That's it. So I'd say day 3. That's where your third receiver is going to come from. Okay. Day 3 of the draft.
It feels like wide receivers more than ever. It's almost like how we view the running backs, kind of dime a dozen. You can find guys left and right and just kind of plug and play. They seem more ready because of the style of offenses in college now. They seem more than they've ever been before that they can play in the NFL right away and contribute.
Absolutely. That is the case.
Where it doesn't have really kind of seem to be kind of the case a few years ago. All right, where we want to go. The running back room. Give me your thoughts on the running back room where we stand right now with Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Walker will be a free agent, next season, right? He's got 1 year left. And then Charbonnet in 2 years. Where do we stand with this group? How did we feel about it?
I think Zach Charbonnet has made a case to be the starter. I think he is better in the lead role. I think when he's been the lead running back, he's been excellent. When he's been the change of pace, he's looked bloody awful. So I think there, and like Ken Walker can't stay healthy. So maybe he's better off in the change of pace and being like that electricity to Charbonnet's hammer. That's just another reason why I'm, Hank Fraley, I have to say, Puck, I've kind of been up and down like a roller coaster at Disney World with Hank Fraley. Like I saw a picture of him and I thought, I want him.
Yeah, and then I thought, he just looks like a guy you want. I know.
But then I thought, he's not called plays, offensive line coach, offensive. And then I listened to him speak, and I was like, this is a leader of men. He's like Dan Campbell. I want the guy again. So I've just been up and down. And if you get him in, well, he's coming from the system that's produced a double-headed monster in Detroit. So maybe he can make a double-headed monster with these two guys. I thought that, my memory's terrible. The guy that they drafted from Georgia, McIntosh.
I really liked him at the end of the year.
Really good. So the one thing I would say, it's an amazing running back draft. So they've got to take someone on day 3 purely because if they don't, you have to, especially with Ken Walker. There's too many good running backs not to take.
Yeah, injury plagued. Yeah, missed the 5 games, just the 573 yards. He clipped 1,000 in his rookie year, but average was at 3.7. Charbonnet did show some flashes. He was very good at times this year. And then again, the limited opportunities that he got, but boy, Kenny McIntosh, I thought looked really good. Yeah, I thought he did too. Hey, I don't know if I'm the only one in this camp. Maybe I am, and that's fine. I don't care. I'll plant my flag in the AJ Barner fan club. Okay. I liked AJ Barner last year. I thought there was some times you talk about physicality. There was a play in the Rams game where he caught the ball on the sideline, lowered his shoulder, and ran over a guy. I just think he brings something to the table, and it's he didn't have like amazing numbers last year. I mean, he's a rookie. 200 and I want to say 230, 240 yards or something receiving. But I don't know. I just thought there was a lot to like AJ Barner in the first year. I'm curious to see what he does in year 2. And then from the other tight end standpoint, I don't know what they'll do with Noah Fant. I mean, my guess is they'll get out of that. I mean, he's got no guaranteed money. He's got a cap hit of $13 million. Do you want to jump on the Barner Island with me and plant the flag, or are you still wait and see?
Well, the thing with Barner is he was drafted to be a blocking tight end. Yep. And then he gets to the NFL and he's catching passes and he's running people over and he's looking very agile in the open field. But his blocking stinks. It's almost as if everything that he was supposed to be good at, he's not very good at. Yeah. And everything he was supposed to be limited at, he's really good at. So now I'm kind of looking at him thinking, actually, maybe he's the pass catching tight end. And then you work on, listen, he was drafted to be a block, so I'm not giving up on the blocking, but he's shown enough. You are right to have faith in him. He's shown enough as a pass catcher to think he could be good, but he's got to work on that blocking. I don't know if you saw who was it against the Vikings where he had to sort of run across the formation and just steal the edge. And you or I could have done as well as he did in that play.
Maybe you, not me. I know me. I know my limitations. I know my limitations in everything. Noah Fant, what do you think? He's on the roster next year?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement there with you on that one. All right, so we got the draft coming up. We'll talk a lot about the draft leading up to it because again, you love the draft. I mean, that's really how this whole thing started for you. SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Quinn Ewers announced today that he's coming out. He's going to declare for the NFL draft. There was some thought that he would stay in, hit the transfer portal. He looks at what Carson Beck reportedly is getting $4 million from Miami. There's some thought that there was going to be a bidding war, perhaps Georgia, even going back to Ohio State where he started his collegiate career. Give me a breakdown. I know Quinn Ewers is someone that you've had your eye on.
Quinn Ewers threw a pass last season against Alabama, which is one of the 3 best passes I've ever seen in college football.
Okay.
And the other 2 were by Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. And it is that pass that flashed what he is capable of that makes me not want to give up on him.
Okay.
Because when you watch him this season, Puck, it was a tale of 4 games and then the rest. In the first 4 games, I thought he was excellent. He was mobile. There was zip on his passes. He looked the part. He looked like he was going to take the step. And in a few early mocks, people were talking about it could be the first overall pick. And then he got an abdomen injury, I think it was. And then he came back too soon. He wasn't healthy. You could tell he looked awkward. His zip on his throws had gone. Then he hurt his ankle and it all went to pot. And he never regained his top form. And it means that there are the 2 question marks going into the season still exist. Can he stay healthy? He hasn't shown that. Can he be more consistent? He didn't show that in parts of the injuries. So his career ends. He was once graded in recruiting at high school with a perfect grade. And that's been reserved for about 6 other players, including Jadeveon Clowney. That's how highly he was rated above Caleb Williams. So that's how highly rated he was by colleges, and the teams in the league knew it. He was supposed to be the Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence clear first overall pick. and it hasn't happened. And as a consequence, he's going to be available in the third round, probably, or the late second. And I'm telling you now, someone's going to take a chance on that talent. They're going to say, yeah, his tape was crap for the most part for 2024, but I know there's something in there. And in a weak QB class, someone is going to take a chance on the talent. And I think taking shots on a quarterback in day 2, it's a shot to nothing. Like, if it works out, you're a genius. If it doesn't, no one's going to hold you to account for that. So I think somebody will take a chance on this guy. And I have to say, Seahawks fans are going to hate this, and I'm probably going to get labeled as the Quinn Ewers guy who thought Quinn Ewers was... He compared him to Andrew Luck, So, hey, this is what people are going to say. But the point is that John Schneider a few years ago name dropped him for no reason when they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba. He personally traveled to watch Texas versus Georgia. I don't think John's daft. He'll have seen what everybody else has seen and probably been disappointed with Quinn Ewers this year. But there's something there, man. He's got some natural talent. And if they're going to draft someone in this draft class, it might be him. Okay.
Rob joins us again every single week to talk Seahawks football. You can find all of Rob's work up at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. YouTube channel, Rob Staton Football. Follow him on X at Rob Staton. Weekly appearance is brought to you by Superior Linen Service, family owned and operated since 1926. Superior Linen Service, committed to delivering the highest quality products and services to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today, suplinen.com, or give him a call, 253-383-2636. Rob's appearances again up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel, like it, and of course the audio version's all available on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, everything up at pucksports.com. All right, Rob, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
See you next week.
There he is, Rob Staton. Our conversation earlier today, we had to tape it. He's got a funny story. Well, why he had to tape it, because he had to go cover some breaking news in the English football world that I'm going to have him tell the story next week about just a crazy owner from one of the English football teams over there. Again, go to YouTube, full episode there. If you came in late, of course, always check it up on Apple and Spotify and all the different podcast platforms. All right, we switch gears. The National Football League now over to baseball. Less than a month away for pitchers and catchers to report. And Mr. Sunshine is here. Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, who joins us every single week. Brought to you by Chalet Bowl, the oldest operating bowling alley in the state of Washington. They've been doing it since 1941, located in the historic Proctor District in Tacoma. Family owned and operated for 40 years. Check them out, chaletbowl.com, to book your next reservation. Experience the best in local fun. Follow them on X at Ryan Divish. Probably later today we'll be doing a Q&A on X if you would like to get in on that. Where are you at? Are you substitute teaching again?
No. First of all, I would rather have a colonoscopy or sit in a bathtub of razor blades and rubbing alcohol than do a Q&A on Twitter. It's just crazy, like, how negative everything is now. And it's
I got 2 things today that were, one of them crossed the line. It was like seriously crossed the line.
I mean, like, it's and I think it's like a meme now. It's like, I don't even know if people are that angry. It's just the automatic impulsive reaction to it all. But no, so I am not subbing today.
Okay.
I am filling in at my buddy's furniture store in Havre, Montana, Valley Furniture. He owns a furniture store, and they lost a couple salesmen a little bit ago. So I said I would fill in. There's an actual idiotic commercial of us doing a Dumb and Dumber retake on Facebook somewhere of me doing that with him. I got roped into this, but this is my buddy.
Wait. Stop. Is that available? You shot a commercial for the furniture company?
It was like a Facebook commercial, yeah.
Okay, where can I find this? Can you send this to me?
I'm not going to send it to you.
Oh,
no.
come on.
Come on now.
Please let me send. And I think Jeff brings up a good point in the chat. How about you do a Q&A during a colonoscopy?
Oh, yeah.
They knock you out, Jeff. You can't do it during
I'm almost 50, so I'm supposed to be doing
Have you not had it yet?
No, and I already did the poop in the box thing too, and said
that
I had
doesn't
to do
work.
It.
That's fake.
Well, I know it says I have to do that now. I have to get a colonoscopy, but
you got to go do it, my friend. I did it last year.
This is my buddy Ryan. I think you met him at Stoney's going away party, the big dude from Havre. Yeah, so I'm just kind of hanging out. I don't know anything about furniture really, other than like I can sell some recliners because I can just tell them like this is a really good one to take a nap in, and this is a good one to take a nap in. And
so, are you supposed to be working now, like on the sales floor?
No, yeah, but we don't have any customers. It's a Wednesday afternoon.
What happens if a customer comes in? Do you have to get up and go help the customer?
No, there's some other salesmen here too. So,
what's the name of the company? Let's plug it.
Valley Furniture in Havre, Montana.
Valley Furniture Company in Havre, Montana.
Yep.
I'm pulling up the website.
So I just kind of help out. Like I'm a man of many jobs. I'm going to have like 57 W-2s when I go to file my taxes. So.
It's a good looking joint.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I'll buy from this guy. Hold on. Let me.
Hey, no sales tax in Montana.
Yeah, let's go. There it is. Valley Furniture Store, serving Great Falls and the Highline.
Yeah, well, it should be Havre in the Highline too. Serving all the way to Great Falls, but yeah.
Serving all the way to Great Falls. Hey, look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. Hey, I need new furniture. I need a new couch downstairs in the basement.
Oh, we got
my wife's got a couch. It's too big. It's just massive. And I'm like, it's too big, and it makes our basement look small. I want a smaller couch, and then I want a couple of, I want like the lazy boy chairs.
Yeah.
That's what I want to sit in. I don't want to sit in a big couch where no one wants to sit with their buddies all on a couch.
My girlfriend and she has a larger lazy boy, and she likes to sit in the lazy boy with me. So I got to lose some lbs because she's skinny and I am not skinny anymore. And so it's getting a little rough.
You look great. Stop it.
I mean, like, we can sit there and talk about this because it's largely more interesting that we're supposed to talk about,
Of course it's more interesting. I mean, they have it. I don't even know where you want to start. I mean, what's the one that pushes them over the 90 win mark more, Solano or Mastrobuoni?
I mean, the Mastrobuoni one is just going to be fodder for Alex Akita and the ilk. It was last year they had, like, somebody was talking about if Miles Mastrobuoni faced Charlie Furbush, or I can't remember, there's somebody else, Ty Adcock, like all these innuendos as you speak. No, like, look, and I, you don't want to go off. I get that fans are pissed and not happy, but like when the Solano thing happened, people are just like, oh my God, what the hell? I'm like, what did you expect? Look at the market. Look at how much money they have. What did you expect? We told you the whole time, they're not going to sign Bregman. They're not going to sign Alonso. They're not going to do anything. So when they make the sort of moves that we tell you to anticipate, I don't know why you get mad. You should just like do the Animal House and just say, thank you, sir. May I have another?
I've used laughter. I've used laughter to cope.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, but that's, and the Solano thing, like, he's actually a pretty decent player. Like, he's a good hitter in a certain role. The problem is when you sign Donovan Solano, and that's the only signing you've made, and it looks like you might only sign one more guy or make one more trade, like, then it doesn't look as great, And the Mastrobuoni trade was a trade of just a trade of timing. He was DFA'd. I think they probably paid the minimum of $50,000 or $45,000, whatever it costs to a trade or for cash considerations. And like usually with considerations, if Mastrobuoni were to play on their roster more, they might have to send more money. It's usually how it works. But yeah, I mean, like, the one was a trade of convenience because the guy was there. It was essentially a free player. He fills the role of Rojas or Sam Haggerty. And then Solano is, thing is, like, he's not great defensively at third or second. He's kind of a first baseman, but I guess if they have to do that with Rayleigh and and Solano at first. I mean, that's not bad. His production numbers were probably better than Ty France last year.
Yeah, but that bar was pretty low.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But the bar was never going to be high. I mean, the bar was at the height for me and you. We could post up the bar for what they have right now because they don't have money and they don't have a lot of options. And, you know, for whatever reason, as we discussed, people aren't really interested in taking prospects for major league talent. The only teams that are rebuilding, the Marlins and I don't even know who else. They don't really have major league talent that you want that badly. So you're just kind of sitting here.
How much money do you think the Valley Furniture Stores has taken in more money this year than the Mariners have spent? Is there a chance? Is there a chance?
What was it? 3.5 million?
I guess, right? 3.5 million. Yeah.
Ask
your buddy, is the Valley Furniture Company in Havre taking in over 3.5 million?
Like, I don't know, like gross, like, you know, net profit versus just the money taken in. I don't know.
Just say money taken in. Yeah. We'll just go ask your buddy if that's the case.
I mean, like I sold $7,000 worth of living room furniture the other day.
I would love. I would pay so much money to get you. I want to know your sales pitch when someone walks in and is I'm looking for some evening furniture. I'm looking for a dining room table. And I want to just. Do you have a whole spiel and all this stuff that you go through?
No, I pretty much tell them I don't know a lot, but that I'm colorblind on some level to matching. But no, I just try and listen to them and then walk them around and explain. But I end up going and ask the manager lots of questions and stuff. So, no, but like this is where they're at. Like,
can you get your buddy to film you on one of these calls, on one of these sales?
No.
Please.
No. This is to be like somebody like doing a Coach Carter documentary on you coaching junior high basketball. When you go Bobby Knight and throw that chair on the court, you just let me know. Or Mick Cronin, when you go Mick Cronin on your players afterwards.
They should. We should have to do press conferences after a middle school basketball. That'd be great. People would love that. They'd buy all into it. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to do anything because I read you and Jude and we talk all the time. We talk every week. I mean, I know what they had to spend. You know, I don't remember Solano being mentioned, but okay. So now this takes them out of Turner, right?
No, I don't.
Or no, not necessarily.
I don't think so. I mean, you know, if they had 15 to 16 million, they could dump 12 million on Justin Turner. That's what they were willing to pay Carlos Santana. It was about 12 million a year. So they could do that. You know, I don't know that he has, you know, like with Santana, at least you knew he was more of a commensurate first baseman than Turner is. Turner's not a great first baseman. But like Solano is kind of positioned like he's just not really a good third baseman. Maybe Perry Hill can work wonders with him at age 37. But the problem is too, like, you know, if you had a full-time DH role for Justin Turner, that's a lot better than, you know, what they have now, which, you know, they don't really know what they're going to do because they're so roster tied. And like they'll probably dump one of the Mitches if they don't, you know, my guess would be Haniger, because you can still use Mitch Garver as a backup catcher. And I'm sure they're still trying to listen to offers or trying to push offers on Mitch Garver, you know, take half the money, maybe move him because he does have value as a backup catcher or as a part-time catcher. I mean, like they have a lot of roster questions, and I think we'll see movement in the last 3 weeks leading up to spring training. It is pretty crazy to me that Bregman and Alonso haven't signed. You know, I think Bregman got slapped pretty hard with the reality of who he is and what his situation is. I think everybody knew Alonso only fit for a few people, and like ultimately he'd like to end up back in New York, and I think he ends up there. You know, and everybody's saying, well, like those guys might have to take a short contract to prove a contract with some opt-outs. Yeah, but when you're doing that, do you go to Seattle? What Seattle offers is playing time, but you know, you take an opt-out or a short-term contract with opt-out so you can, you know, do a Matt Chapman. You don't go to Seattle to usually do it. I mean, Bregman could do that in a lot of places. I mean, he could do that with AJ Hinch in Detroit. He could do that all over. Same with Alonso. So I don't know that they would do that. I mean, if there by chance there was some interest from those two guys on a short-term deal for, you know, that's the thing though. They're not going to just take 15 million. They want 20 million. You know, even with the opt-out.
So what's the what's the trickle down effect of Bregman going someplace opens it up for what? Castillo to be moved where? Because that to me is the move, right? Am I missing something? I mean, if they're going to do anything, aren't they going to move him? I mean, they've or for free agency wise, who else are they signing? So they have what? $12 million left?
Yeah, 12, 13 million. Well, and that's the thing. If they trade Castillo, then that's 22 off your books. Then you could make a run at a short term like Alonso or Bregman, for 20-some million a year for 3 years. I mean, that's kind of what I think they were ultimately hoping to do with Christian Walker was like trade Castillo, get somebody to take the money, get a viable piece, but then also use that money to go after Christian Walker, who signed a 3-year deal. Like that's gold to any team, 3 years, 20 million. So that's the road to a significant upgrade is trading Castillo to free up money to get a significant upgrade. Because I just don't see players being traded that are.
There's a comment from one of our guys, and there's part of people that are going to believe this.
Oh yeah, no,
Sugar Shane, they did that. They would just keep the cash.
Yeah,
they would not reinvest it.
Yeah, they might just reinvest half of it or something like that, and say they want to save it for potentially adding a bat at the deadline. There is the chance that they do that. I mean, like the thing about Castillo is like, if you believe he's not going to be the pitcher you think, or if you think like you're getting a really, really good deal, like you're getting real talent back that's going to help you for this year, next year, maybe the year after, then make the deal. Like if you're getting a major league player that's got club control for 3 years or something, make the deal and then use that money, or don't use that money, but have that, because like that's the thing is like they don't have guys. Colt Emerson is 19 years old, I think, or 20 years old. Like,
right.
To sit there and say he's going to be the shortstop next year, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I mean, hell, Cole Young, Laz Montez, all these guys are a little bit farther away than I think people think. Yeah, the Mariners sit there and say, oh, they're going to come in and compete and this and that. But like what Julio did, look at like Julio and Jared were essentially the same age. They both debuted early. One handled it, one didn't. And nobody ever questioned the talent of Jared Kelenic. Like everybody thought he was a big leaguer. He is a big leaguer, but like, it's not the same path for everyone.
Okay, so let's say I think everyone's under the impression they'll do something here. They're not gonna. This is not just going to be the final roster as they go into spring training here in less than a month from right now. Let's just say it is, though. Let's just say they just can't pull anything else off. They can't sign anybody else. They can't make a trade for Castillo. It just doesn't work out. They head into the season. I mean, how do they eclipse 85 wins? I mean, they return essentially the same team that will have the same struggles that it had a year ago. Will they just simply rely on, hey, but when we had Dan Wilson for the last X amount of games, the offense turned it around. We'll bank on that heading into the season.
I mean, that's honestly what they have to do. Is like if they had to go right now, and they had to fill internally, they would need JP, Julio to have huge bounce back years. JP have to get back, maybe not to 23, but something closer to that.
Garver.
Garver. Those three, even a Rosarena, like his overall numbers weren't great when he was with Seattle, and it wasn't a great year for him. They need him to go back too. So it's like, and that's what's kind of galling a little bit is like you expect probably two out of those four guys to go back to who they were, most likely Julio. Or Rosarena younger, like he'll get his numbers back. JP could be better. Like even if you got minimal bounce back from 2 out of those 4 and got normal bounce back from the other 2, like if you just add 2 pieces, then you're a whole lot better, like real pieces. But they're not adding real pieces per se. They're adding fringe pieces because that's all they can afford, or that's all that's available to them. And that's you're relying too much on bounce back production, and you're essentially believing that the Victor Robles we saw, who was hit 350 for the last month.
I know that's the one that worries me. I think worries a lot of fans that you'll see original Victor Robles, not last year's, like last half of the season or when they acquired him.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think he'll be quite as bad as he was when he left DC. I think the whole relationship with Davey Martinez was strained. Everything else, like I think he'll be a better version of himself. But to think that he's going to be was he 330 or something like that, and then 350, 360 OBP, and all those stolen bases. Plus, we saw that because he plays like a total lunatic, he gets dinged up a lot too. So I mean, like, that's an issue. Like I just think like doing this is kind of putting this all out there is kind of illogical.
Yeah.
Like to sit there and say, oh, it's going to be this way or that way. I mean, relying on anybody in baseball is always a tricky thing, whether they're older or like it's a reliever, to sit there and expect from anybody is a recipe for failure in a lot of ways.
I'm going to tell you, the guy that just walked into the store, he looks like someone, you mark him. He looks like he's a whale. He's going to spend some money. That guy's going to spend some money.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Go sell him a lazy boy. That guy's in the market for a lazy boy.
No, he was looking for his wife who was in here trying to buy something earlier.
He's just, can we go? Can we please go?
Oh,
grab some lunch and get to the watering hole. I got a Miller Lite, I got a Jack Daniels, and I got some pull tabs I need to get taken care of.
Oh, we don't have to have pull tabs here. We have poker machines and Keno machines in the bars.
Well, then the poker.
And live sports betting in the bars.
See, this is why Montana's a great state.
Yeah. But like they don't, so like, and then also it's supposed to be below zero in the next 4 or 5 days. So you got to maximize now.
It's brutal. All right, I want you to sum it up. Off season for the Mariners has been?
Underwhelming. I think that would be the word. I mean, like, I think that there were better opportunities for them. Like I know you joke about like Carlos Santana was their main guy, but like Carlos Santana helps them, get better and fulfills a lot of needs. And given their price points that they're available to operate in, he was a good fit. They didn't get him. Some of the trades, not being able to capitalize on Castillo when maybe the market was going to tell you more or offer more, that hurts you. And that some reports about Castillo's elbow and whether or not, and there are some weird stipulations in his contract when it comes to Tommy John surgery and everything else, which I think the Mariners could have kind of maneuvered through, but teams are just afraid. So I think there'll be more moves. I think we'll see something in the next couple weeks or so as we get closer to spring training. Sasaki signs this week. Sorry, Mariners fans who hoped.
Yeah, do you think? I mean, the reports are they never got a meeting with him.
Yeah, everything I heard is they never got a meeting. So some people think that a lot of the meetings were pretty eyewash in the sense that they wanted to make it look like because there was reports of tampering and illegal contact of organizations with him, and I think by visiting 6 or 7 teams you put it out there like you really want to go. You could go to any of these places, but I think it's always been either LA or San Diego from the very beginning.
Okay, go and sell some more furniture. Short and sweet with you. You're a working man. You've got 15,000 different jobs. Ryan Divish, Furniture Man. That's going to be the headline of the show today, Furniture Man. Okay, I love you.
Yeah, I'll work on that Twitter Q&A at some point.
Twitter Q&A. Do the Twitter Q&A from a lazy boy inside the Valley Furniture store there in Havre, Montana. All right.
I may hit you up. I'm going to be in the PNW this weekend.
Okay, wonderful. All around. Got nothing going on. Would love to see you.
All right, sounds good.
See you, Divish.
See you.
All right, Ryan Divish. Maybe at some point he'll be brought to you by Valley Furniture there in Havre, Montana, plus Chalet Bull. Ryan Divish show every week. We talk Mariners baseball there with Divish, brought to you again by Chalet Bull. Check out his full episode up on YouTube. When you're at the YouTube channel, please hit the like button and, more importantly, hit the subscribe. Subscribe away to the YouTube channel, Puck Sports, by the way, if you don't know where that's at. Also, the audio version up on all podcast platforms, all major podcast platforms. You can find the Ryan Divish Show. Once again, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, and everything up at pucksports.com. All right, we wrap up every daily puck drop with Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. It is locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when these damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Someone in our chat is saying that you have the commercial. I need to see the commercial of Ryan Divish. Ryan Divish has apparently shot a commercial in Havre, Montana. All right, Eddie, Easy Eddie, Jay, where's the commercial? Send it to me. Puck@pucksports.com. I've got to see the Ryan Divish furniture commercial. Please, for the love of God. All right, we wrap it up with this. A little based on what our conversation with Rob Staton, Seahawks, their search for an offensive coordinator. They have gone through so many offensive coordinators. I mean, Darrell Bevell, if you go back the longest, for the last, 15, 10 plus years, longest guy, well, more than 10 years, tenured guy with the organization, 7 years. Waldron and Schottenheimer, I think you're 3 years. Now we got one and done with Ryan Grubb. They need to find consistency with the offensive coordinator. I don't care if the coordinator has called plays or not. I think we all have like what our wish list is. I mean, I guess I have a wish list, but I'm not going to sit there and say, as a fan, God, they have got to have experience calling plays. Well, someone can have experience calling plays and be terrible offensive coordinator. You may not have any experience at all. You may turn out to be a great offensive coordinator, okay? I mean, there's plenty of examples of guys who've never called plays before, and then they get thrust into the role, and they become a very good offensive coordinator. You mentioned the 28-year-old from the Minnesota Vikings who has been granted an interview or will interview for the offensive coordinator spot. He's considered to be an up-and-coming kind of bright mind in the world of the NFL. Maybe he ascends like the Kevin O'Connells and Sean McVays and the other young kind of offensive minds. That could be the case. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, he hasn't called plays, so no, they can't give him the keys. I understand the hesitancy, though, of it, because you just saw a coordinator who did not call plays at the NFL level, and then, for some, struggled to actually execute that offense in the NFL. Certainly success in the college level. I'm just going to, this is such a cop-out answer to this, and I said it to Rob last week. Rob wrote about it, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Mike McDonald's just got to look in the mirror. What is the offense that gives me the most problems? I need to find someone from that offensive tree. Is it the 49ers tree, the Vikings tree? I know they're all kind of morphed in together. Rams tree, whatever it is, and gives me the biggest concern. Here's a guy who's, very young coordinator. I mean, he'd been a coordinator before, called defensive plays, and Mike McDonald. I think he's looking for someone in particular that's not necessarily just the experience in calling plays, but is he cut from the same cloth as Mike McDonald? That I would just stress the biggest thing for the organization is just got to be consistency, because of so much turnaround with offensive coordinators for this organization. And when you're a defensive-minded coach, seems like you can just cycle through these guys too much. And they're going to find success. And if they do find success, if it's the young guy from Minnesota, let's say they end up hiring Grant Udinski. And then after, 2 years, maybe even a year, Grant Udinski just becomes this, he's the next Sean McVay, and you lose him. All right, you lose him. Then you move on. I wouldn't be scared. I mean, I brought it up, though, I think a couple of weeks ago. There's part of that when you are a defensive coach and you hire, a young offensive mind, that is the worry. You are recycling through guys a lot. I think that's why some of us wanted to go more the offensive route, because you're not going to recycle through defensive coordinators as much. You still do it, but not as much. But whatever they decide, just find the right guy and have some consistency, and then that consistency's got to trickle down to the offensive line. They've got to fix that. We talked about it today with Rob. They're going to at least have to replace 3/5 of their offensive line one more time. They've got to find better players, and they've got to find consistency there in that role, because, again, we'll just be talking about the same thing a year from now if they cannot fix that offensive line. All right, that is Hey What the Puck, brought to you again by Restoration One of North Seattle, the North Seattle franchise. Give them a call when damages affect your residential or commercial property, 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com. Again, North Seattle franchise. Full episode of the Daily Puck Drop available up on YouTube. Please, when you're there, subscribe. We will separate the Ryan Divish show and the Rob Staton show up on YouTube if you want to just watch those separately from the full show. In terms of audio, we just post the entire show now, the Daily Puck Drop, all of it, up on all the podcast platforms. So whichever one is your favorite one, please enjoy it there. Pass it along to friends. Coming up on the Thursday show, we'll talk to Michael Sean Dugar from The Athletic. Get his thoughts on the latest with the OC search. Also, Mike Garafolo, who had the report today that Grant Udinski was going to get interviewed for the job. Also, remind you, all the free content, the Daily Puck Drop, all the guests that we do, plus the extra bonus shows and VIP content we do, all available to Puck's Posse members. All you got to do is sign up, $5 a month. You get a discount if you sign up for a year. I encourage everyone to go do so. Pucksports.com. On the top of that will take you right to the Puck's Posse membership page. And again, just $5 a month. All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Everybody have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Thursday's show. Again, Mike Garafolo and Michael Sean Dugard coming up tomorrow on Puck Sports. Until then, as always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!